Very good morning, students, and today we are going to discuss part 4 of chapter 6, staffing. In the previous class I have began with the process of staffing process. So in the textbook actually there are 8 steps are given, and I have told you that these steps need not be followed by all the business organizations. Some of the organization may skip some of the steps, or according to their convenience they may adopt their own selection process. So in the previous class I have already discussed 2 steps. One is the preliminary screening. The first step is preliminary screening, and the selection process aims at eliminating all misfit candidates. So at every stage the candidates are eliminated. Those candidates who do not conform with the needs of the organization, such candidates shall be eliminated. So in the preliminary screening, the main intention is to eliminate unqualified or unfit job seekers. And later on the eligible candidates will be evaluated. So eligible candidate will be evaluated in the later steps. And the second step I have explained about the selection test, and this is a mechanism to measure certain characteristics of individuals. So I have mentioned about 5 usual tests which are conducted to evaluate the candidates. They are intelligence test, then aptitude test, then I have explained about the personality test, trait test, then the interest test. These are all the tests we have already discussed. And now I am going to explain you the next step. It is called employment interview. What is an interview? You have already come across this word, interview. And job interview, it's actually a very formal and in-depth conversation conducted between the 2 parties. Who are the parties? One is the interviewer and the other one is interviewee. Interviewer is one who conducts the interview, whereas the interviewee is the person to whom the interview is conducted. And why is this done? This is done in order to evaluate the applicant's suitability for the job. Here the main intention is to seek as much information as possible regarding the candidates here. And this is a face-to-face conversation, and observation method is also followed. Observation means when the candidate gives the answer, the interviewer will observe his personality, his attitude, his smartness, then his intelligence and other attributes. So as much as possible the interviewer studies the candidates here, or in other words the interviewer evaluates the interviewees. Generally there are various types of interviews. Actually in the textbook those types of interviews are not mentioned. There are various types of interviews. They are like direct interview, where it is actually the skill, then the attitude and interest of the candidates are studied and very direct questions are asked. And next you have indirect interview. Indirect interview means here there is no direct question. The interviewer gives a topic of candidates liking, and the candidate has to go on explaining or he has to talk on a particular topic, and at that time the interviewer will study the opinion or the views of the interviewee, and based on that the evaluation will be done. And similarly you have a patterned interview where standard questions are asked, and similarly if you want to evaluate the ability of an individual to withstand the stress, then another type of interview, stress interview is conducted, and group interview. So, these are all various types of interviews. And the next step under this staffing process is reference and background check. Now, the candidate has given the information in the application. Not only that, even during the time of interview also, interviewer, he observes and he collects some information about the prospective candidate here, but this is not enough. The organization wants to more about the prospective candidate, and whatever the information given by the candidate, whether it is genuine, whether it is true, that will have to be verified. And that is why, for the purpose of verification or for the purpose of verifying the information and gaining additional information of the applicant, usually the employers request for reference and background of the applicant. And that is why the applicant has to give usually the contact numbers and address of the person whom he has referred. Usually the principals of the colleges or the institutions or the university professors or even the previous employer can also be useful reference here. And present employer will contact those people and they authenticate or they verify the information whether it is true or not. Because certain characteristics of the applicant such as the what is called the temperament of the candidate, and similarly the honesty and the integrity, these are the qualities cannot be assessed in these tests or in the direct interview or in the interviews, those qualities cannot be assessed. And it is why to get additional information, generally the reference and background checks are made in the selection process. And the next step is selection decision. Now, the candidates have already undergone various stages here. The preliminary screening has been done and then the tests are conducted, the interviews are made, the reference and backgrounds both are checked, and now the selection decision will have to be made. So, the final decision here, final decision whether the candidate, if he has passed in all these stages, then the final decision will be taken. And this selection decision, it is also the final decision here, and this final decision is made after making all the stages like those candidates who have passed in the test, interviews and reference and checks. Now, the final decision will have to be taken. And for this final decision, the views of the concerned manager is very important. Why it is important? Because the manager will be held responsible for the performance of that particular candidate, and that is why the manager's views are very, very important here. And after taking his views, a list is made. So, that is after making the final decision, a list of candidates are made. Next is medical examination. Now, the candidate should be healthy, he should possess good health, and it is why the company may ask the candidates here to undergo medical examination. If the candidate passes in the medical examination, that becomes an asset to the organization. Healthy candidates or healthy employees are assets to the organization. So, these healthy employees, they will be very productive to the organization, and not only that, there will be less labor turnover because they rarely fall sick, and not only that, there will be less absenteeism and there will be less accidents. They can concentrate better in their work, so the accidents will be less, and this medical examination ensures higher standard of health of the employees. And the next step is job offer. Now, medical examination has been done, and those candidates who have passed in the medical examination, they will be given job offer. And this job offer is made through a letter of appointment and confirm his or her acceptance. So, a letter of appointment is given to the prospective employee here, and the prospective employee, he can either accept or reject, because this is a job offer given by the company. And this letter contains a date by which the appointee must report on duty. The appointee must report on duty. A date will be given, and the company has to give a reasonable date. He has to give sufficient time, and by that date the appointee should report to the work. This is called job offer. And the final stage is contract of employment. Contract of employment is nothing but acceptance of a job. Now, the appointee, he will accept the job, and there will be certain documents should be executed. Certain documents need to be executed by both the employer and the appointee or the candidate here. Now, first one is usually an attestation form. And what is this attestation form? It contains certain important details about the candidate which are authenticated and attested by the candidate. Now, generally at the time of sending the application form, certain information that will be furnished by the candidate regarding his name or the age, date of birth, and educational qualification, other qualifications. So, lots of information will be supplied, it is already supplied by the candidate while applying for the job. And those information should be now authenticated, and that is why the candidate has to attest this. So, there is an attestation form, and this is a very useful document for future reference, a very useful document for future reference, and that will have to be attested by the candidate. And the second important document is contract of employment, and this contract of employment is again in writing, and the terms and conditions of the job, like the pay structure, and regarding what is called the job title, then what are the duties and responsibilities of the candidate, and from which date the continuous employment starts, and the basis for calculating the number of years of service. Similarly, rate of pay, then if the candidate if he is eligible for any allowance, what are all the allowances, then hours of work, then leave rules, what are all the leaves, type of leaves available to the appointee, then sickness, grievance procedure if he has any complaints. So, what is the grievance procedure that shall be followed in the company? What are the work rules relating to work, then disciplinary action, then termination of employment. So, all the terms and conditions are written in the contract of employment, and the appointee here, he has to read, and then he has to give an acceptance by signing the contract. So, after signing the contract, he becomes an employee of that particular organization or that particular company, and the company will open a service register in the name of that employee. So, this is the procedure that is followed in the staffing process. So, there are 8 stages I have explained. So, beginning with the preliminary screening, then I have explained about different types of tests, selection test, then I have explained about employment interview, and then after the employment interview I have explained about reference and background checks, then selection decision or it is the final decision, medical examination, job offer and contract of employment. So, these are the 8 steps generally followed in the selection process. And now, very important topic for our discussion, that is training and development. I have already mentioned about training and development, and I explained when I took up the topic staffing. So, in the beginning I have explained about this training and development. Once again, now we shall discuss in detail. So, what is this training and what is this development? Why this training and development generally we use together these two terms, training and development. Training, actually it is an attempt to improve the current or future employee performance. When an employee, now in the previous topic I have explained, now the employee, he is given the contract of employment, he is given the contract and now he joins the organization. The organization is very new to him and he does not know the work that he has to perform. He may have to work along with the machines, or he may be having some technical jobs or managerial jobs. So, everything is new to him and certain knowledge should be imparted to the newly appointed employees. And it is why these newly appointed employees should be given a training, and this training is an attempt to improve the current or future employee performance by increasing an employee's ability to perform through learning, usually by changing the employee's attitude or increasing his or her skills and knowledge. So, this training aims at increasing the skills and knowledge of the employees, and this training need not be given only for the new employees. It is given every time when there is rapid or when there is development in technology. When the work was very simple many years back, there was no rapid development in technology, the production procedure was very simple, the machines used were very crude or very simple, and the skill that was needed by the employees were not very sophisticated. At that time, this training was not required much. But what has happened over the years, the society has become very complex due to lots of technological innovation. Now, at present we have very highly sophisticated and complex society, and this society has increased the pressures for organization to re-adopt the products and services produced. So, you have to produce very innovative products, new product, then lots of what is called technology will have to be adopted, and the manner in which they are produced and offered, the method of production, how it is to be offered to the consumers. So, it has gone a drastic change. The types of jobs required now to perform those change in production procedure or change in the way of the business is being conducted, There is change in every aspect of business. Now undertake those jobs, you need people with high level of skill. Different types of skills are needed to complete these jobs. So the jobs have become very complex, and that has increased the importance of training and development. So the reason for the emphasis that is given for training and development is because of the complex society, because of the technological innovation or so many changes. The business environment has become very complex, the entire society has become very complex, production procedure has undergone a change, the demands of the consumers have undergone a change, and accordingly you have to adapt to the changes, re-adapt. The business has to re-adapt to the changes or to satisfy their customers better. So the requirement of job has also been changed, job requirement. So the job demands higher skill on the part of the employees. So when a candidate just passes out from the educational institution, he does not possess the required skill. In that case, the knowledge and skills will have to be imparted by a program called training and development. Now training, as already noted, it is a process by which the attitudes, skills and abilities of employees to perform specific jobs are increased. Now if you just assess the skill or the knowledge of the employee before training and after training. Now after the training, definitely the employees, they gain skill or attitudes and the abilities. So that is actually the aim of training also. It is a process of learning new skills and application of knowledge. Now I can give you the example. Now there is no classes in the traditional classrooms due to this pandemic. Nobody has expected it. So we are not able to take the class in the classroom, and that is why we have to adopt to this new technology. So we are taking the classes and that is uploaded in YouTube. If not, I have to use different platforms like Google Meet. I can make use of Zoom apps. Even though it was existing before, we were not using and we did not have proper knowledge. We did not have proper skill. The teachers lack skill in those what is called technology, or we were very new to the online teaching. But what has happened? There was a need to learn. We had to learn all this, and that is why the teachers were given some training, ICT, use of computers, how to use different what is called applications of computer. So we have undergone all those training, and so that we could upgrade our skill and knowledge. It is not just getting the knowledge, we should be able to execute that knowledge. So this is the example when it comes to the teachers, how we had to upgrade our skill. Then initially we were not ready to what is called, there was some fear of using the technology. We were not very comfortable in the beginning, but this training gives us proper attitude for the adoption of technology in our day-to-day work. So the training, actually it is not just gives you the skill and knowledge, it actually it's a process, even the attitude that is also changed. The employee's attitude, skills and abilities, all these are increased. And because of that, it improves their performance on the current job. So, it improves our performance, it improves the performance of the employees and prepare them for any intended job as well. So, this is the meaning of training. And now, we shall see what is this development. And this training, it is usually what is called, it is usually for a short term, a training, it may be for a 1 month or it may be for a week or it may be for 15 days. It is generally for a very short period. And let us see what is this development. The term development means growth of individual in all aspects. In all aspects, if it is there is growth, then it is called development. This development refers to the learning opportunities designed to help employees grow. So, there will be overall growth of the employees. But in the training, there is particular skill is improved, particular knowledge is given. There will be change in the attitude, particular attitude or attitude towards particular work or job. So, it is for a short duration. Training is generally for a short duration and it does not result in overall development of the individual there or of an employee. But in the case of development, the development results in overall growth of the employee. And this program, development program, it helps the individual in the progress towards maturity and actualization of their potential capacities. So, an employee will have lots of capacity within him. That will be actualized through proper development programs and he will progress towards maturity. He can plan very well regarding his career, not a particular job. He can think of his future career or future plans as well. And this development is a continuous process, whereas training is for a very short duration. But this development is actually, it is an ongoing process. Now, we shall study or we can just make the difference between this training and development. There are 3 points based on which we can make a distinction between training and development. The first point of distinction is training is a process of increasing knowledge and skills. So, particular knowledge, particular skill. But whereas development is a process of learning and growth. So, it is a continuous, whenever I say learning, learning is a continuous process. And so, development is learning and development is a continuous process and aims at the growth of an individual. Now, the second point of distinction is the training enables an employee to do his job better. Why? Because he acquires the skills, he acquires the knowledge and because of that he can do his work better. Whereas development is to enable the overall growth of the employee, not relating to a particular job, but overall growth of the employee. And third point of distinction is it is a job oriented process. Since we have noted down it is relating to a particular job, so it is job oriented, whereas development is a career oriented process. When an individual continuously develops when an individual continuously learns and when he explores his potential capacities, he will be fit to assume greater responsibilities in the future. He can assume different higher level jobs. So, he can plan his career, and that is why development is a career oriented process. Now, there is yet another term which is given, education, training, development and education. So, here I am just going to give you the meaning of education. So, there is no much weightage is to be given here. So, you have to focus more on training and development. Why I am telling you about education? Because just to make a distinction between this training and education. Education is a broader concept, whereas training is a narrow concept. So, education is broader in scope than training. Aim of training, you know, all of you know, it is to achieve the goals of the organization. Why training is given to the employees? Because there are set goals within the organization, and to reach those goals the employees are given the training. But the aim of education is to achieve the goals of the individual, to achieve the goals of the individual, not the goal of the organization. So, what does education mean? Education is the process of increasing the knowledge, understanding and interpretation of the understanding or interpretation of that knowledge on the part of the employees. And education helps an individual to develop a logical and rational mind, and his capacity of analysis, synthesis and objectivity. So, now you are all getting education in different streams, arts, science, commerce. So, it is not only the subject knowledge you are acquiring. So, you get vast knowledge not only about the studies, you are getting certain knowledge other than the textbooks. So, you develop your reasoning abilities, you develop your logical mind. So, you start to analyze the things, and thereby you improve the decision making capacity, and that is why education is very important, and that is the difference between training and education. Now, after understanding these three concepts, training, development and education, now we have to study what are the benefits of training and development. Now, these benefits of training and development can be understood under two headings. There are benefits to the organization and there are benefits to the employees also. So, both are benefited by giving this training and development. So, first we shall study what are the benefits of this training and development program to the organization. What are the benefits to the organization? Now, the first benefit is training is actually a systematic learning. If there is no systematic learning, if an employee is allowed to work by himself by trial and error method, what happens? There will be lots of wastage, because he does not know how to work effectively and efficiently. There will be wastage of time, there will be wastage of resources, and that is why here training gives or training is a systematic learning, and thereby all the wastage of time, wastage of resources, wastage of manpower can be avoided. That is the first benefit to the organization. From organization point of view, that is the first benefit. And the second benefit here is it enhances employee productivity, both in terms of quantity and quality. Now, there will be less wastage, the employees make use of their time very effectively, thereby the productivity of the employees will be higher. There will be higher productivity, both in terms of quantity and quality, and that will fetch higher profit to the organization, higher profit to the organization. This is the second benefit. Yet another benefit of training and development is it equips the future manager who can take over in case of emergency. This training and development program creates a second line of managers. In case if something happens to the higher level of manager, somebody has to occupy that position who should be as efficient or maybe more efficient than him. Now, there is a sudden emergency. If there is no one to assume that place or no one to take up that responsibility, it will damage the progress of the organization, and that is why it is always advisable to create second line of managers, and creation of second line of managers can be done only with the help of training and development program. And the next benefit is it increases employee morale. How it increases employees' morale? Because the employees now they get satisfaction. Why? Because their productivity is more and they feel that they have acquired knowledge, they have acquired skill, so their intrinsic value increases. The value of the employees due to training and development increases, so they fetch better price in the job market. So, it increases employees' morale, and as a result there will be reduction in the absenteeism, there will be reduction in the employee turnover. Turnover means they will not leave the organization. Change in the composition of workers, it is called employee turnover. It may be due to the employees may leave the organization due to different reasons. But now what happens? There will not be employee turnover, the retention ratio will be more, they will be retained in the organization, there will be less absenteeism. It is all because of increase in employee morale. So, they feel it is their organization, so they have to work more or they have to satisfy their employers. This is yet another benefit of training and development. And one more, it helps in upgrading to fast changing environment. Now, business environment is fast changing, especially due to the innovation in technology. Technology in production, in the area of production, in the area of communication, in all the areas there is change in technology, or technology there is upgrade in technology. Now, the employees have to learn this new technology in order to suit ourselves to the changing environment. And how can we make the employees or the organization to adapt to the changing environment? That is by giving training to the employees. So, these are all the benefits of training and development for the organization. So, from the organization point of view, these are all the benefits. And now, we shall see what are the benefits to the employees. The employees are also benefited. How they are benefited? Training improves the skills and knowledge, and that leads to better career of the individual. I have already noted down that the intrinsic value of the employees increases. So, they get better price in the job market and they are ready for their next job, higher level of job. So, improved skill and knowledge lead to better career of the individual. And another benefit, because of this they can earn more. The employees can earn more because due to training and development their performance will be better, their productivity will be more, and the company is ready to pay them more. So, their earning capacity also increases. And the third benefit here, they handle the machines better. Due to training and development or due to this imparting the proper method of handling the machine, what happens? There will be efficient handling of the machines and thereby there will be less breakdown of machines. And from employees' point of view, they are less prone to accidents. The employees will not, they know how to handle the machines, so they will take care and they use the machines with care, with all precautions, and there will be no accidents. If there is accident, who will suffer a lot? The employees will suffer a lot, but now the training helps them to how to make the effective use of the machines, and there will be less accidents, or we can say no accidents. And another benefit to the employees, it increases the satisfaction and morale of the employees. So, this is a benefit both for the organization and also to the employees. So, happy employees, satisfied employees, definitely they are useful asset to the organization. So, it improves the satisfaction and morale of the employees. So, with this we have discussed in today's class the selection procedure. We have discussed 3 different concepts: training, development and education, and we have also studied how this training and development programs help the organization and also to the employees. So, in the next class we are going to study different training methods that are adopted by different organizations. And these methods are of 2 types. One is on the job method, another is off the job method. Under on the job method, the training will be given when the workers actually work in their workplace. Off the job training means the training is given not at the place where they work, but they are given training in a different place. So, this is how we can understand. So, in my next class we shall discuss about the training methods, on the job training method as well as off the job training method. Thank you.